Hi, this is Dr. Dickinson, and this presentation I will be reviewing information regarding the TED 631 Internship Seminar course. This is a 2-month course which meets every Thursday from 7 to 9. There are 2 required texts. You are welcome to purchase those texts. There is also a plethora of resources and readings that are available to you. So if you feel those course textbooks don't align with what you're teaching, you're welcome to use the online references as well for citations and reference. Some additional resources. These are all active links that are on the course website, so please be familiar with CTC and the Teacher Performance Assessments, as well as the standards for teacher performance. And those are called the TPEs, Teacher Performance Expectations. Also, another reference is the California English Language Development Test, referred to as a CELT test. You'll find information about different levels of proficiency for English language learners and your content standards for California. And that's on the CDE, California Department of Education website, and there's a link there as well. Our objectives for this course is, again, this course is pass-fail. We will have 3 major assignments, and all of our assignments will be focused on these course learning objectives, course learning outcomes. So our first outcome is to analyze the effective differentiation by level of readiness, interest, and/or learning profile for specific groups of students and reflect on its significance for student learning. Course learning outcome 2 is to examine the influence of the learner evidence in driving the differentiation of instruction, so looking at data to drive instruction. And course learning outcome 3 is to analyze the effectiveness of assessment strategies and adaptations, modifications, assessment measures, and student learning evidence for identified standard-based outcomes. So after you give an assessment, how effective was your teaching, how effective was the content, how effective was the delivery or the activities that you had your students engage in to meet those outcomes on your assessment. So that is what we'll be focusing on in this course. We'll also be looking at classroom management. So our course learning outcome number 4 is to evaluate the effectiveness of classroom management. So in our first assignment, we will focus on this CLO, course learning outcome. All right, so our assignments. There will be a total of 2 threaded discussions over 4 weeks, and the discussions will focus on the important issues of each unit. Remember, you need to have 1 original entry and at least 2 responses to other postings for each discussion board. Second assignment is classroom management strategies. And in this assignment, which we'll talk about tonight, you're going to identify class and individual management challenges, interpret the influences from the classroom, school, and community cultures on the student learning environment, and then develop a data-driven decision-making process for optimal learning. Course assignment number 3 is the TPA number 2, designing instruction. So TPA task 2 will be expected to be complete and get a passing score by the end of this course. So this course is for 2 months. By the end of this course, you should have submitted your TPA test 2 to TaskStream. And again, if you haven't done your TPAs yet, focus on TPA task 2 right now. Submit it to TaskStream. It's evaluated by an outside assessor, and you should have a score in a few weeks. So TPA Task 2, Designing Instruction, focuses on 5 prompts or 5 things that you need to think about to complete. So first, you need to select the content to be taught and learning about the student. So you'll develop a unit. You'll select 2 focus students, 1 an English learner and 1 a student with special needs. So if you have students in your class that have IEPs, that would work. Then you're going to plan academic instruction for the whole class. In step 4, you'll adapt instruction for the 2 focus students. So what might you do differently? Why would you do it differently? If you have a student that has auditory processing deficiency, what adaptations would you make? Perhaps handouts, visual guides, other types of prompts to support that learner. And then in step 5, you're going to reflect on what has been learned through the task. So our course calendar, remember this is a 2-month class, started in September, in our first meeting on site. So your first discussion will be due on the 3rd of October, and you respond to 2 colleagues by the 17th. Discussion 2 will be due on the 24th and respond to 2 colleagues by the 7th of December. Your classroom management strategies paper will be due on October 3rd, and TPA 2 submitted by 11/7. And you just need to show a screenshot that you've submitted your task. So let's talk about assignment number 1, classroom management strategies. In this first assignment, you need to think about a classroom management challenge that you're having as a whole class. So perhaps the students are tardy to your class, they're yelling out during direct instruction, students are frequently asking to go to the bathroom. So these are examples of a whole group challenge. You need to identify this challenge, you need to describe it, and then you can explain individual management problematic cases. So maybe you're having a problem with the student who is yelling out. Then you need to think about the classroom culture dynamics and overall influences. Why is that student acting out this way? If you're having an issue with student wanting to go to the restroom all the time, is this happening during a certain time of the day? And what might those factors influence the students? Think about the school community and the culture of your students to identify some key factors that might influence the choices that they're making. And then you're going to develop a data decision-making process for managing these disruptions and challenges and organize classroom management strategies. So taking this problem into consideration, that you have students that frequently want to use the restroom, what processes can you implement? Will you allow everyone to use the restroom 3 times throughout the semester? Will you have a strategy for documenting? Will you have a way to keep track? Do you have a monitor to help you and assist you in this problem? Are you going to have a process if students continue to ask past the 2 times? Will you call home? Will you ask the principal for support? Think about the problem in detail and anticipate some challenges and what might happen even if you do have a plan. And talk about that, just to be aware of it, to think about what you would do if certain situations arise. So you'll develop this process and then think about the different strategies. This assignment can be completed as a paper format, a presentation, a Prezi, or a video cast. Please be sure that you include APA references. As I shared with you earlier, there are a plethora of references on the course website for differentiation. Think about some strategies that you might refer to from your 626 course, so those textbooks can come into play, and also have a bibliography attached with whatever format you choose. So why are we focusing on classroom management? Because up to 50% of new teachers leave the classroom within the first 5 years, and classroom management is one of the major reasons why. So hopefully through this process, you'll have some tools and strategies that you can reference, and just to keep this in mind that, throughout your career as a teacher, you're going to have classroom management issues, and you need to think strategically and develop a process to help support you so that you can manage these issues, because they will change. It'll be different every year. It'll be different every period. It'll be different with every group of students that you have. So just being cognizant of that and having a process that you go through to help support you throughout your career as a teacher. So we had a case study scenario that we reviewed. One was about Katie, and she was having a bad day. Situations that are arising in her life, and then when she went to her algebra class, she got upset and threw the book. So think about this type of scenario. You're having a student like this, okay? How an ineffective teacher might deal with this disruption. Maybe the teacher will kick the student out of the room or yell at them in front of everyone. How an effective classroom management, how would they handle this disruption? Maybe they would continue passing out the papers and getting the kids started, and then go over and speak to Katie when there's some time, and kind of get down to her level, or pull her aside and say, hey, I want to talk to you about what happened, and can you explain to me why you did that? Is there something going on that you want to tell me about? And just kind of try to be there advocating for them, and also acknowledging that this is something that shouldn't be happening in your class, and then have consequences or appropriate actions to follow through. So group scenario here, what you would do in this situation and what strategies you would take. And then you want to analyze the situation. So what are some challenges that you might have in a group situation? If you're PE and the students are not wanting to run the 1 mile. So thinking about, some situations, sometimes it's the context. It's the fact that, it's 90 degrees out and kids are expected to come into the class and run a 1 mile. Maybe they just had lunch. Maybe this is a high demand task for the students because they don't get much exercise in their lives. So situational experiences where you need to examine the context as well as the group behavior and why these factors are influencing the choices that students are making. So think about those challenges and what processes might the teacher implement to manage the classroom. So maybe they'll change the schedule, maybe changing the expectations from 1 mile to a third of a mile, and then building from there, asking the students to bring in water bottles or giving participation points, so on and so forth. And then just documenting that and having a way to track and seeing if there's an improvement. So think of this first paper as kind of like an action research in your class. Okay, and so for next week, share 3 strategies you are reading about and ways you can apply these approaches in your classroom. So this 3 strategy can be from month 1, resources and recommendations for differentiation. And then as a whole class, we'll be describing our classroom management action plan and what we'll be doing and documenting. All right, well, thank you so much, and please email me